Well, hello, everybody. It's Garrett here from Thinkering Voices. We have some thinkerers in the building, some unbelievable thinkers. We have Mary Alice Curran and Joey DePuma. Can you guys say hi? Hey, how you doing?
Happy to be here. Happy to be talking with you.
Yeah, we're in a very, very cool space, guys. It's called the Gym for the Brain Space. And tell us, because you guys are the masterminds around this, tell us what this space is all about.
All right. This is a collaborative, team effort. And this idea was a pitch to Jen Womble, the conference chair at FETC, to have a dedicated space to talk about wellness and mental health. And she loved the idea. And she said, I'm actually looking for a main stage speaker. We want to prioritize the conversation around mental health. And I said, I've got the speaker for you. And so that was one piece of the puzzle. Then we introduced Eric Kuzin, who is a main stage speaker here at FETC actually today at 11:15. But then Jen said to me, I can do one better than just providing you a space. I'm going to introduce you to Joey. So Joey, I live in Connecticut. I never got to physically be in the same place with Joey until yesterday. But Joey brought another piece of the puzzle together because he has designed this space with 3 furniture companies. And so his area of expertise really is around creating, designing learning spaces. And what you do at Flagler is nationally recognized, but you also help other schools.
Yes.
So it was a real collaborative effort to put this space together. So it's a unique learning environment that has many layers to it.
Absolutely. It's a symphony of all these different things. You have a great speaker, you have a great message, and then you have to have a great space to kind of tie it all in. So that's kind of what we did today. We partnered with Purdue, who is our local install team, Steelcase, Smith System, great manufacturers. They produce great things for kids. We've been using them for a long time. But you have to have all those things in place. You have to design for humans. And I think we nailed that with this design. We've been able to move it around, move the less around. People come in, they're feeling great about the speeches, about the talks. It's easy to connect when you feel good. And I think this space provides that.
I think too, one of the big things, I come from an early education, Montessori teacher background, and we use the environment as the teacher, right? As somewhat of the teacher that we call it the third teacher. Talk to us a little bit about how we can leverage learning spaces like this to provide a whole child education in classrooms.
I think learning spaces are probably one of the things that are the most overlooked. And we've been doing this. I mean, learning spaces is not something new. It can be difficult and it can be challenging, but if you're willing to put yourself out there and learn the process and learn about all the aspects that it brings to your community, it's definitely should be in your top 10. There's a lot of different people that you meet to include this. We have a HR, custodial, plan services, technology team. So it's not just one piece, it's the piece that ties in all the other. And I look back when I was young and I would sit in a classroom that had rows and desks and I had a little bit of ADHD and stuff on the walls would throw me off and messes and clutter. So for me, organization is very much a big part of my day and how I learn. And I noticed that in my kids, also my own personal kids. So to be able to give back a little bit and correct the things that I saw wrong when I was young, it means a lot. It's kind of like what I did.
Very, very cool. And what an interesting and unique collaboration when it comes to an organization like St. Here and a learning space professional, right? And taking that lens into a learning space. What were some of the specifics that you had to really think about for this specific space?
Or as far as design, so there are certain things you have to do and there are certain things you shouldn't do. Some of those things are color theory and the way a site smells on the location of it. Mostly things what not to do. What we see often is a lot of times the school will design something based on maybe school colors or something like that. That's not what we do. You stick to the color wheel, you stick to different colors that trigger different things. Along with the smells, that learning about smells is very interesting. Certain smells, scents, power certain things, like it's so like peppermint, citrus, even mochas. Those things power one thing. If your leaf smells like meatloaf, well, you're probably not going to learn about that. Say, if you stick a learning space between a cafeteria and a dance studio, and the audio is not right, or it smells like those things detriment your space. So even if it's great looking, different things play in. Same thing with textures, the way the carpet feels, a natural light, a view of water, even foliage and biofeal. So even if it's fake plants, like that still adds to it. So there's just so many things to look at. It doesn't have to be expensive. You just do a little creative.
I loved what you had today where you were talking about repurposing as well. And you
Oh,
like to go
yeah,
and find trash.
yeah. They threw the garbage, put it in classrooms. It's a little deeper
Ditto.
than that. in my house. So one of the things that we discussed yesterday was repurposing things. So a colleague of mine was walking her dog and she found some old surfboards in the trash. Right, she lives at the beach down, so she took them out of the trash, and we wrapped them in like vinyl, 3M vinyl, rifle, whatever, and we stuck them in a room, and we just put them there. We didn't even tell the kids anything. We put some markers nearby, but they took the surfboard to their desk and they were writing all over the surfboard. We did the same thing with some old skate decks too. So on one side, it had the graphics, on the other side, it was the writable surface. So repurposing things like that adds to the creativity space, and then we let the kids do it. Then we throw it in a maker space. We did some stuff with fake grass. The other thing we're talking about was we created these things. It almost was a joke, but it kind of was successful. So we made these legs out of PVC. We call them leg sheets. So it's literally a piece of PVC, some pipe insulation, a wheel gasket, some washers, and you slip it onto an existing leg. And we had some banker kids make it. And all of a sudden, we had all this flexibility in the classroom. So whereas they didn't have the budget to buy new tables, they were able to spend a couple bucks on PVC, and now they have mobility for a fraction of the cost, and it became a lesson.
So Meg had to become part of like this design process. Like the pictures you showed, there were students and there was a dad involved.
Yes, yeah, we
Yeah,
always
the whole community
we
event.
always include the kids in design process because it's going to be their space. We give them an opportunity for input. We give them an opportunity to pick out some of that sort of things. We'll do a live design with them. What's not the design software, like the big stuff. So we try to involve everybody because it is their space. We're publicly funded by our schools, so we have to be transparent in how we spend the dollars. That's why we invite community members and stakeholders. So the more transparency, the better. I won't say that we nail it every single bit, but we work really hard to do that. We have to make changes. We make those changes. So
I'm always skeptical when any company, really any person's like, you nail it every time. Yeah, I think you're actually in the right space if you're willing to understand that like failure is a great thing and you can iterate and learn from it. Now, Mary Alice, talk to us a little bit about Same Here. And Same Here is a think bring partner, and we just love the work that you guys are doing. Talk to us a little bit about Same Here's goals, what your overall mission is.
Okay, well, can I tie it to the space of,
Percent.
so like, I'm just going to add from what Joey had said. So to have this dedicated space for the gym for the brain here at FETC, there were attendees that came yesterday and never left. Okay, they stayed for every single session. In fact, the corner chair, someone wanted to put can I have my name on this? Like, this is my spot, right? And then even for lunch, when the space was empty, they came in here because they said, I feel safe. So this partnership with, like, when you think about foundational, like, so creating this type of learning environment, designing this space specifically with that intention around, we need to bring our brain to the gym. So I really love, the Same Here messaging that we were sharing yesterday. We'll continue to share for all 4 days is, we've inherited language. It's not our fault. We all need to like unlearn and relearn. And if you just read headlines and you listen to the news, you hear about 1 in 5 have a mental illness, right? And so what this space is doing is inviting this larger community to say, wait a second, actually 5 in 5, like we all have mental health. So yesterday, without Eric wasn't here, but I was saying to try to really hammer that message home is that, has anybody here experienced grief in their lives? People were like, not. Now I'm able to do Same Here, his logo, right? For American Sign Language. And that idea that I see you, I feel you, you are not alone. And I asked also about like betrayal, right? Has anybody ever experienced betrayal? Same here. So instead of like really thinking about like mental illnesses and like labels, that here it is, the continuum, right? And that we all live on this. And every day we move up and down this continuum. Now, mental illness lives on this continuum, but instead of focusing on those labels, this is just an opportunity where for your physical health, you get to track and act. I get on a scale, I get my blood pressure taken, I make decisions, I track and act. Here is an opportunity in this environment to track and act for your mental health. And that this is something, no matter where you live, whatever language you speak, what religion you practice, this is something that we collectively need to do. And I feel like it starts with having the space, but now starting to change your language
Mhm.
and being willing to unlearn and relearn, so that you can create inclusive environments that people don't have to carry things in shame or in isolation, um, or that fear of stigma if you are. So I feel like there were some really incredible conversations that happened. And the other beautiful thing here is that this space, we designed it so that it's two part. You could come into this empty room right now and you could experience this space. You could bring your brain to the gym. We've got the exercises all set up physically, but you can all, we've got the app as well, so you can experience it both. But then there are presenters coming in. And so these presenters really, I felt like it was really interesting. The way the setup is, you had to change the way that you present. This isn't like that stand and deliver where you've got rows.
It's more like teaching in like a personalized learning class.
Yes, it was like very engaging.
And we noticed speakers moving throughout the space, addressing people that had concerns of standing next to them, like becoming part of that question. So whereas you're shouting at the other end, and I think sometimes that's why people don't. It's why I didn't ask questions in class. I didn't want to scream across the room, and I felt like it's a question. But if you raise your hand and someone's able to walk over and talk to you, and we saw a lot of that, and that's not stuff that we told them to do. It's just what people do. When you put things in
Human
place,
nature.
people, yes, human nature, exactly. It's like when you put a cafe table, people surrounded. If there is no tables, people will normally form a circle when they're talking. It's like all the stuff we did like at arcades when we were young. So you pump that into a classroom or into a learning space, and like you said, when human nature kicks in, they do what they're going to do.
Well, it says a lot too, and you're absolutely right. I think it says a lot too when you're at a education technology conference that they embraced something like mental health and organizations like your guys in learning design and as well as in learning environment design as well as mental health. I think it does say a lot for hope, right? You read a book like The Anxious Generation, and it gives you a panic attack for the rest of your life because I have, two teenage girls and one younger daughter as well too, and it's scary, right? It's scary what's happening. Talk to us a little bit, Mary Alice, about what is kind of the the crisis that we face right now when it comes to children and mental health.
It is definitely technology. And yesterday, there were sessions that actually had nothing to do with technology. Like that, I used to be in the space for digital citizenship. Like that's kind of what I was known before the pandemic. And then my life changed and I kind of just began to pivot, more towards balance. That was where I began. And then I got introduced to Eric. And then it was specifically not just balance, about unplugging um, and having time purposely away from technology, but specifically around mental health. And it was so refreshing yesterday to see how needed these conversations were and these presentations that weren't so heavily focused on technology, but back to that like human connection piece and to be deliberate and intentional, to model it as adults,
Mm,
right? And then like even like things like yesterday it was like welcoming people back to the human race. Like for one of the questions was like,
absolutely love that.
who here uses their device as an alarm clock?
Oh yeah.
And then, all these, well, welcome back to the human race, because whether you realize this or not, if you're using your device, the last thing that you say goodnight to is your device. And the first thing
You do, yeah.
the first thing in the morning, you say good morning to that device. And unintentionally, that is a message if there are any little people in your house that are learning that. And I mean, that's the digital citizenship space. I've done a lot of work talking with families about how when you bring this to their attention, that they'll say how desperately their children and their teens will say, why are you always on your device? Like you're not paying attention. Like our young people are telling adults
Oh, it happens to me. I'm guilty of it
what they
all over. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you can go out to dinner and just see, oh my gosh, there's a whole family and nobody's talking. Everybody's on a device. Or you go to a park and all whether it's the nannies or it's parents, and they're missing moments. So this is that. Welcome back to the.
You know what's
Right.
interesting? As I was thinking of, that's so funny. I was thinking as you were talking is like part of, I think, the issue in society right now with our teens who are engaged and growing up with nothing but technology is, you know, they're putting themselves out in a perception that isn't real. And I think part of the issue that we're having in society is that kids don't feel seen. And when you see something that's projected, right, that's false almost, that's not you. And so even looking at an environment like this, it's like we not only need to physically see kids, you know, in an open space like this, not in rows, not tucked back where like you and I probably were in the background hiding. You know what I mean? Like I was that kid. I was the ADHD kid. So like, you know, and understanding that a lot of the neurodiversity things and mental health that we're seeing specifically around neurodiversity are like advantages in the world. I was talking to Eric this morning about how like we live in this society where we're literally medicating children to fit into a system that doesn't work. So like that's a dangerous thing. So the more that we think about feeling seen, I don't know if I'm fully making sense, but it's like when you're putting a perception of yourself out in the world, you start to believe that. And kids get trapped in this cycle of like unaware of who they actually are, right? And then they have this crisis at 13, 14, 15, when you're starting to figure out who you are, even more so because they have no base. There's no foundation.
They're bred right into it. They never experienced what it was like without that. Like, so yes, that's very scary. It's very scary time.
It's a very scary time, but I do have hope because
Yeah.
folks like you. Yeah.
I'll tell you, what was that quote yesterday? I hope I get it right. That the stronger that the internet connection is,
Oh, the weaker the human like. Some
yes,
slides.
the weaker the human connections are. That was one of the presenters.
Mm.
And I was like, that's profound. Like,
Say that one more time.
the stronger the internet connection, the weaker the human connection is, or something like that. Something.
That is like right up our alley. And we're going to wrap up on that because I think that was something that embodies what we just talked about. I think, look, none of us are saying that tech is the devil,
No.
right? But we are saying that if we let it go too far, that we're going to wake up in a world of Orwell. You know, we're going to wake up in 1984.
Yeah, it needs to be responsibly wielded. I mean, it's part of what we do is to try to help them do that. You know,
I love it. Well, thank you guys so
Yeah,
much.
thanks so much. It was
I
wonderful.
appreciate it, Joe, nice meeting you.
Thanks for meeting us in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to actually go around, take some footage of the space so you can see it as Mary Alice talks about it in our interview. Thank you guys so much from Think Ring Voices. We'll see you very soon.